Lindsay, and I'm a sales coach for online service entrepreneurs. And today I'm telling you why relationships are the number one thing at the core of all sales. Okay. Now, if you are turned off by cold DMs and creepy sales tactics and fear-based bullshit and like all of these, you're only all in if you pay me everything, every dollar in the world, right? But like you're not actually feeling good about selling and you don't really know exactly the actions to take, then you're going to love this today because I want to give you the secret to sales. Okay, and first I'm going to take you on a journey. Back when I first started selling, which was when I was 21 years old, fresh out of college, I got a job with J&J, Johnson and Johnson, as a sales rep. And I had braces, I had a bad haircut. I was totally like a fish out of water. It looked like I was 14 years old. And I was calling on clients who were sometimes 3 times my age. So I had to come up with a way to sell, which obviously wasn't going to be my expert status and my authority. Like, can you honestly imagine like version of me that looks like, I mean, here, I showed this on another video, but here's a picture of me. Like, I seriously look like I'm at least 3 decades younger than any of my coworkers. So I had to come up with a way to sell to my clients where I wasn't going to be like so abrasive, which really isn't my style unless you ask my husband, that I was going to be like not abrasive or else I'd get kicked out of the office and I'd end up probably losing my job because I didn't, in the specialty sales I was in, I didn't have a lot of like offices to go to. They basically gave me all of my clients, but then I had to keep and grow the business there, right? I couldn't go off and find a new oncologist that was in the Birmingham, Alabama area, right? Like, so it was really important for me to not only have my offices like me, but to also have them see me as enough of an authority to listen to me and take the advice that I was giving them for how to, appropriately treat their patients, how to identify their patients, how to get reimbursed for the products. Like there was a lot of complexity in the sale. And again, I just got my license that said I could drink alcohol like months prior to that, right? So none of it made sense as to why I should be in this position. However, everything happens for a reason. So I started to watch all of the reps that were in my district and I started to like look at the best practices and what made them tick. Now, what I found was, the relationships for me, getting to know my offices, embedding myself in, the offices of my clients was exactly what helped me to create relationships with not just decision makers, but everyone down to like, or starting with the receptionist and starting with, the person at the ticket counter outside that took my parking slip, like literally making everybody feel important and genuinely caring and genuinely being curious about some of the struggles, the issues, and the concerns that my clients and the people in the total office were going through. Okay. So in sales, this is called a total office call. But even back then, when I first started, the total office call wasn't even like a buzzword. But this was something I just naturally started to do. And what I found was not only did I start to really cement my relationships, I had no problems with getting access. I was the first person they would call to get, in these offices where you get one appointment per month, I would be the first person they'd call when an extra appointment would open up because they had so much fun being around me and the relationship was so strong. Now, the other thing that happened was that I was able to learn how to leverage these relationships in order to increase my sales. Now, in the pharmaceutical industry, especially back then, increasing your sales had to come from taking market share away from another competitor or helping them to identify additional appropriate patients who were coming in their office, right? So the volume had to increase. I didn't even obsess about my numbers ever. My measuring stick was, am I doing better than I was the day before? But also, how are my relationships in this office? Where am I able to ask for more? Where am I able to, ask them to take little steps, right? Like little steps such as, um, you know, flagging their own patient charts, not me doing it, but them doing it, flagging their own patient charts so that then they would have the patient's top of mind, which was the best thing for everybody involved. And that brings me to the point. You need to know that when you are forming a relationship and you are selling, it needs to be a win-win for everybody. Okay. And a lot of these cold DM techniques and all of these tactics that don't feel good, they really don't feel good because straight off the bat, you intuitively know that it's not a win-win, right? It's pushy. It makes you feel gross. You, once you, even if you do end up signing a client through some of those pushy techniques, you need to know how to hold them and hold that relationship strong in order to have them continue to want to be in your world and nurture them through, whatever sales container or offer that you have for them. And so these personal relationships have always been at the core, but it's not really taught that often for online service entrepreneurs because people typically talk about volume of sales coming in or look how much money I made this month, but they're constantly worried about needing to have more leads and more people coming in order to make up for the ones that are leaving their world. Because if you know how to bring a client in and sign them, that's one thing, but you also need to know how to nurture them while they're a client and how just the basic etiquette on how to treat them and, treat them through understanding their needs throughout that whole process in order to be able to, adequately give them space to want to stay on and stay in your world. Does that make sense? So if you're nodding your head, then you're starting to see that moving forward, it's really important to hold those relationships at the core of everything that you do in your sales process. So that starts with using techniques that start with relationships and that foster them from the start. So that's start from like when you open up the conversation with your clients. This is going to start from your content. This is going to start by you using specific techniques and specific verbiage and specific lines of questioning and interactions in order to really build that relationship from the start. I really want you to know also that when you sell with a more relationship-based approach, it feels better, right? Because you are, people are trusting you with whatever service that you're providing. And that's one side of, one of the issues, but also, you want to know that you want to work with them too. So you are just as much vetting the people that you're talking with in the DMs or vetting the people who interact with you in your social media or the people you get on sales calls or discovery calls with. You are vetting them just as much as they are vetting you. It's just like an interview. And if you start to look at it like that, where all of your sales calls are sort of like little mini interviews for, if you think back to a time where you had a job and you had a great job, but then other companies wanted to interview you to go over to them and there was no pressure at all. It wasn't like, it was sort of like you felt like you were in demand. You know what I mean? And so when you look at the sales process like that, you're at the point of like, do I want to get in a relationship with this person? How do I interact here? Using that sort of etiquette, using those sorts of like, the banter back and forth, testing the waters and really getting to know that other person before you decide to jump all in with that full on relationship. And even once you do, then it blossoms from there. So this is why it's so important to have an understanding and put into place a relationship-based sales approach into your business if you desire to have long-term clients that are loyal with you, that stick with you for a long time, that love you for a long time, and who really enjoy being in your world and also who you enjoy working with as well. So I hope this clears that up. And if you want any more, if you want to dive deeper into creating your own relationship-based sales style so that you attract more, not just premium clients, but people you actually want to work with, people who are long-term loyal clients who need what you have and love what you do together, then reach out to me on Instagram or on LinkedIn so we can chat about what it looks like to work together. This is the work that we do inside my Sales Queen Takeover Mastermind. This is my rolling mastermind where we work on aligned lead generation techniques that feel good to you. You develop your own selling style so that you show up confidently online and you're able to like sell the crap out of any offers that you have without feeling sleazy or slimy. You feel confident being out there and you feel like the shit because, you know exactly what to say and do in the way that you would naturally want to say and do it. And that's where alignment is. Okay. And then also how to feel confident in growing the sales in your business, how to show up confidently every day, how to beat the fear monkeys and all of that so that, it's just an easy sales process and your sales are the last thing you have to worry about in your business. Because as you know, there's plenty of things to worry about in your business and sales doesn't need to be one of them. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go ahead and hit subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you selling your face off on the internet too. Bye.